Hey folks, today I have got a special treat for you. I have Samantha Tradelius. She is the co-founder of Commercial Coverage Insurance Agency. She's got 25 years of experience in the industry. She's also gotten back into doing some, sounds like continuing education for insurance folks, as well as something that she grew up doing. And in this commercial coverage insurance agency, she has a niche of targeting and working with women-owned businesses on risk management. In that same vein, she's also the award-winning founder of the Sparkle Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to helping single women throughout the Bay Area, Inland Empire, city of Los Angeles, Sacramento. She's an author, she's a podcast host, and, maybe most importantly, she's a mom. Hey, folks, welcome Samantha with us today.
Charles, thank you. I think I need to keep you around as my hype guy.
You think so? Dude, I'm telling you, I'm looking for second careers here. This business coaching thing and explainer video, it might not take off. I may need to be out there. I could be like the next Sham Wow guy, but without the spotty, arrest record behind it.
I'm in. Sign me up. First client.
Right. So I didn't ask you about this earlier. Where are you? Are you in San Francisco?
I'm in the Bay Area. So I'm in Marin County. So I'm about 16 miles north of the Golden Gate Bridge. So yes, I would say I'm in San Francisco.
All right. So the wife and I just got back from a trip a couple of weeks ago. It was our 20th anniversary trip, but we ended in San Diego, started in San Francisco, and we did all the things. We saw the Golden Gate. We went to Haight-Ashbury, took the picture of the clock, saw the painted ladies, Full House, went on the wine tour. Dude, we saw everything, and it was hot. We brought a heat wave with us, so I apologize.
It's always interesting when people come and visit, because they'll come in the summer and it's like, sometimes it can be hit or miss, but they say that the coldest winter you ever spent was the summer in San Francisco, because typically the weather in the summer season is not so great. So I'm glad you got to enjoy it. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. It
is. It was gorgeous. Loved it. Bustling, and we crammed it all in. Everything but Alcatraz, but I at least got to see it. So there's that. So you wear at least 3 different hats right now. Let's start with the main one. I work with a lot of insurance agencies. They got a lot of different ways they do business. How in the world did you settle in on, let's say, commercial insurance? How does the continuing education piece tie into that? And how did you decide that we're targeting women-owned businesses? And then we'll transition in a minute, because I want to ask you about Sparkle too.
Yeah, there's a lot, and it's kind of a full circle storyline. So my family actually owns Lightspeed Learning. And that's kind of what I grew up in. And that is pre-licensing and continuing education for insurance agents in the California, whole area of California. So when I was about 17 years old, one of the teachers didn't show up for class to teach pre-licensing. And there was 150 people sitting in this room. And I was working in the office at the time. And I thought, oh my goodness, I know that this is what puts food on my family's table. So I grabbed a book, I walked in, and I started teaching auto insurance. And that was my first day of teaching. I was terrified, but I realized I kind of liked it. I didn't know anything about it, but I knew enough to know that I could kind of get by. So I did that all through college and, the latter part of my high school career, and then college. And then when I graduated college, my parents obviously weren't ready to retire, and there was too many chiefs in the kitchen, if you will. So I opened up an agency with my father, Strickler Insurance, and I started selling personal lines. And that was really where I started. And that was selling home and auto. I would buy leads off the internet, smile and dial, and, crush it with those $100, renter's policies. Slowly trickling on, I built up a book of business and ended up meeting my, now husband, who was in the industry as well. And he was in the process he was actually up here in the Bay Area. That's why San Francisco.
Right.
He was really focused on commercial risks. And so as our relationship kind of progressed, I realized that I kind of probably had to relocate. So I came up to San Francisco, and my brother took over my bit with Strickler Insurance. And then I came in with him, and we, created commercial coverage, which is in its 17th or 18th year.
Wow.
And our focus is commercial property. So that's our space. That's where we play. Property. Yeah, we do apartments, investment assets. Our clients are real estate professionals, property owners, property managers, and, all the other lines of insurance as well. So, small business all the way to the big stuff. But I always have really taken a liking to working with female clients, because number one, I am a woman. And number two, I love watching a woman have an idea and create a business that's thriving and grows through time. And many of my clients I've been with for, almost 20 years and seen them grow into these amazing businesses. It's been a fun journey.
So what made you guys, you're coming out of personal lines. What made you think not just commercial, but it's going to be commercial properties? How did you guys come up to following in on that niche?
Well, I think when you start in insurance, I'm like everybody else was like, you kind of want to do everything, right?
Right.
Somebody comes to you and they're like, oh, I have an airplane. You're like, cool, I'll figure it out. Well,
Yeah.
and you really realize like you can't be everything to everybody. And it's really kind of important to find your craft and figure out what you like to do and then what you could be really good at. Um, we always have our staff read this book called The Raving Fans. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Nope, but I'm about to.
It's amazing. And it's a concept of basically know what you're good. It's know what your client wants, know what you're good at, and give them the extra +1 experience. And so for us, the raving fan moment just became with like, we knew we were really good at this line of insurance. Like we had the markets, we understood it. And we kind of just went down that road and attacked it. And my husband really built a really cool, concept and idea and really enjoyed property just as a thing, like buildings and cool construction. And so that's kind of, I think, where it probably birthed. But yeah, it grew and grew, and it's been very good to us.
Raving Fan, that's a Pat Flynn book or somebody else?
It's I think it's Ken Bowles. I'm probably pronouncing
We'll
the
check
last
the
name
Google.
right. Yeah, it's a great one. It's an easy read, and it's
Okay.
basically the concept is just giving the client that extra experience, and
Mhm.
every single time you win.
I see that in terms of trying to niche down like that. Both as a business coach, where I'm working with my clients and they're asking about liability, Bob, E&O, and I explain to them it's not enough to just go to the person who has your home life auto unless they really do specialize in that. If you ask them, they're going to say yes. It's like asking a dog if it's hungry. What you want to do is find somebody that has commercial, almost in the title. And as I do explainer videos for a lot of insurance agencies, I run into this issue all of the time where I'm writing their script and they want to tell about the 15 lines that they specialize in, which is not a thing. Nobody specializes in 15 things. You specialize in one or two and maybe had the ability to do the others. And so many people are scared to do what you guys did. So,
Well, you find what
congratulations.
you're good at. And I think I get asked a ton of times, like I have a client right now that's asking me about some international stuff. And I'm like, I've asked a couple places where, I thought might be helpful. They're not no one knows. And so I'm
Right.
actually going to say, you know what, this isn't my space because I don't want to screw it up. And I know what I'm good at. And I know if I don't know, I can always ask the people in my world that are good at those things. But yeah, you can't really be good at everything.
That's right. So in looking at doing that, as you got going, you developed a even tighter niche. You're starting to work, and I'm sure you don't turn men down, but you started working more and more with female entrepreneurs, property owners. What does that look like, and kind of how does that at some point transition into you thinking, hey, we need more to do with this. Let's start a nonprofit.
Yeah, well, Sparkle's kind of interesting. So Sparkle was always as a young woman, I wanted to do something, and would find that a lot of the nonprofits I was kind of working or wanting to do wanting more information on weren't like doing what they said they were doing with the money. And so for me, starting off with looking for women and families that I could help was really more about like, if I had $100 to donate, I wanted to know that it went directly out there
Right.
to what I thought it was. So I wasn't finding that. So I said, hell, I'll just do it myself. So that's kind of where that started. And so Sparkle and insurance have always been very different components of me. But at the same time, I am just kind of this big ball of, if you know me, you're in with everything. So they don't necessarily overlap a lot. But I think that a lot of the principles that I've learned from owning an agency and being a business owner, I have definitely transferred over to running a nonprofit because it's a whole different bag. And especially dealing with like volunteers versus employees and,
Right. Big
expectations
difference.
versus reality. And so it's definitely been a journey, and it's still a journey. Sparkle will be 7 this year. And, in addition to running an agency and running a family, I've been able to manage running a nonprofit because of wonderful women that I have around helping me. But it's been a journey for sure.
So what all with Sparkle is it more events driven? What do you seem to be doing a lot of?
So our focus is single moms, and that's what we do. We help serve single mothers, and what we really do is we provide a situational assistance. We're not here to help a lifestyle. We're here to kind of plug a hole. So we do 3 things. We do them very well. We have our holiday gift drive, which is what I started doing even prior to forming the nonprofit. We have our enrichment scholarships, which is We provide funding for after school programs, enrichment sports, and then also backpacks. So this last year we did 4,000 backpacks throughout California, bananas. And then our third arm is our SparkleBiz arm, which is micro lending. So we provide micro loans to single moms that want to start or grow their businesses. And we do all that 100% volunteer, and 100% of every dollar that we generate goes back out into the community, which is pretty cool.
How in the world are you raising enough capital to do micro lending? That is very impressive.
It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So I had this crazy idea about 4 or 5 years ago that was like, how can I take my business mind and this Sparkle mind and create, something that we can give to these single moms, because they're such an underserved, category. And so the micro loan program was meant to be, it's kind of a funny idea. So we had this whole big thing set up. We were going to have an event at the Salesforce Tower downtown San Francisco,
right.
Invite all these wonderful business women that wanted to fund this program. And then guess what happened? COVID.
Yeah.
COVID killed it. COVID killed everything. So I thought, well, I'm not going to kill the program. And I was really trying to figure out how I was going to get funding. So it was my 40th birthday, 2020. And I started a Facebook fundraiser, $40 for my 40th birthday. And I raised $15,000. And that's how I started the fund. And since then, the fund's grown. We have funded our first loan, which was really cool. So what we did is a $10,000 loan. Was interest-free, given out to our first recipient. And along with that came mentorship. So where she needed assistance, we were able to plug the holes. And so going back to my insurance world, a lot of my clients are business women. And so I knew where this particular gal maybe needed some help, got together a really good group of people that could help her. And within 6 months, this person had opened their second location and hired, I think, 4 or 5 other individuals.
Wow.
And is almost done repaying her loan, and we're ready to fund again in 23.
That is that's what you call a success story.
Yes, it is.
So looking at going back to insurance, what are you guys doing? And other than referrals and word of mouth, which I know is the holy grail of all business, especially insurance agencies. I know you guys have been around a while, but what are you doing on a regular basis that will continue to drive in leads, or what kind of marketing are you doing that grows that side of the business?
So what we really found was where the business was coming from. That was the type of business that we wanted. So a lot of times, when you're buying leads or out there trying to, get business, you're not going to get what you want specifically. You're going to get the 15 different lines that people need. So we really focused on where are the people and the types of assets that we want to focus on. That's property managers, and that's real estate brokers and commercial real estate brokers. So my husband, back in the day, would show up at, the Marcus and Millchap office downtown San Francisco with bagels and sit in their meetings and listen to their buildings that were, on the market. And he would go back to the office and do some quotes so that they could put that into their marketing packages when they would go out and solicit to get clients. And so by building those relationships very early on, he was able to have a really great marketing channel that would just, if you've got a loan officer that's in a bind, needs to fund, and the insurance is a problem, that's where we could come in. Now, as it's progressed, the market's gotten consistently harder, and especially in California, the property market's a nightmare. And so being that we are so knowledgeable about the markets and have such great relationships with our underwriters, we're one of the few that are still standing and are very successful and aggressive with our pricing strategies, because we know where to go, and we've done all that work for years to get there. So yeah, I think it's just building out relationships that were very pointed, because they were directed at who was around the types of products that we wanted to sell.
So in looking at y'all's agency and the fact that you've been able to kind of withstand some of the changes in the market, what do you guys do in-house that may be unique from other agencies? Do you have a special tool or a way of doing things that's a little bit different that you've evolved with over the years?
Yeah, so we have 2 different things. So we have our SureFit Rater, which is on our website. And it's essentially a tool that we've built that can help determine property premiums really quickly with 6 key quick facts. Your built square footage, how many stories, what's your business income, and the rest we can kind of figure out based on what we know about the marketplace. So that's been a really successful tool for us, because a lot of our marketing partners will go in there and, if I'm a real estate agent and I'm trying to figure out the numbers for my client to buy this building, and I want to know how much insurance is going to run, I can go into the system and I can plug it in and it'll generate a three-prong approach. So it can have low cost strategy to best coverage strategy and everything in between.
Who developed that? You guys?
My husband did. Yeah. Yeah. He's a unique brain. He's like the sales guy, but also like the engineer guy. So he's kind of this unique, special individual. But yeah, that was what really started the agency years ago. It was a program that he built. And it's really been great. And then the other thing is we're not structured like a normal agency with producers. So what we have are three different areas. We have the new business group, which handles all of the incoming leads that come in. Phone rings, pick it up, you're on it. Then we have our renewal team that manages everything after that 364th day. Policies placed, it moves over to my service team, which manages endorsements, policy changes, cancellations, all the things. And then on after that, you've got you've got your renewal team, and then service team. Then we've got our renewal team that is the one that manages the renewals, so account management essentially. So you've got new business, renewals, and then service, and there is no one that's responsible to go out and hunt the fish because we bring the fish to you with our marketing channels.
So with the with each of these three groups, are they employees? They contractors? And I'm getting
all employees. Yeah.
They all work from home?
No, everybody's, it's kind of interesting. So we have a main office in Phoenix, which is where the majority of our staff is. And then we have kind of employees sprinkled all over California and also other parts of Arizona. We kind of have a unique office environment. So Mondays and Fridays, you can work from home if you want, or come to the office if you want. And Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we like you in the office. And then some people just want to work from home 100%. Sure. So that's cool too. We kind of realized that you needed to kind of shift along with the way that people were working.
How did you go about, so you've got three different teams. They have very specific things they're doing. How did you go about creating, and it should be right in your wheelhouse. So tell the rest of us, how do you go about deciding what they're doing, documenting them, training, following up with them? Because I have a lot of agencies that I work with that have grown and grown and grown, and they refuse to let go of those things. How'd you guys do it?
Well, I think a lot of it was trial and error. So having the producer model, right? Which many agencies, like I started off with my first agency being in that producer model. You teach people how to fish, or you would, show people how to sell insurance, and then they'd move on and maybe go to a different place and kind of create havoc and things. And as an agency owner, it's hard to realize like whose accounts whose, and if I'm paying you a salary, and there's this, it was becoming a little bit complicated. So for us, it was like, how do we get that noise out of here? And that's kind of where the new business team was born. And it was like, what do they want to do? They just want to sell. They just want to pick up the phone and sell. We'll make the phone ring. So that your job is just to close the deal, right? And so those people are by design deal closers, right? The next phase was the account management team. So what are those concierge personalities that like to not have to sell?
But like the handhold.
They're not out to hunt. They just want to, make sure that it looks nice in front of the client. And those people, are responsible to renew those accounts. And then, of course, the service team are people that don't want to sell at all and don't want to account manage. They just like to take care of the, all the in-between stuff. So their roles are very well defined. Everybody knows how to do everything because it's important in case somebody's out or hey, I need a hand. But for the most part, we've really, built those roles out mainly by trial and error. I mean, there was no book of like, here's how to do this.
Right. So the renewal team is brilliant. In a lot of cases, I'll see folks that simply, they're doing auto mailers, or might send an email. Otherwise, they just hope that you renew and then get frustrated when their percentage dips a couple of points each year. And the only thing they're doing to retain clients is a monthly e-newsletter that's built by some third-party carrier that looks like it's built by some third-party carrier.
Yeah. So
we're getting a little close to time here. Let me ask one more question before I throw you a softball. You got three different things going on, plus being a mom, which is a full-time thing. What tools or anything are you using to kind of juggle your time? How do you figure out what the priorities are and what the lower level tasks are? How do you get them on a calendar? What are you doing to keep yourself sane?
Great question. And I'm completely insane. So let's let's just check that box.
Gotcha.
So I always design my day based on 3 factors. So one is revenue generating activities get my attention first. Second is what are people waiting for me for, whether it's, documents or, an email or whatever. So those are the things. And then third, of course, is the stuff that just needs to get done. Nobody's going to die if I don't get it done. But that, typically that list rolls and rolls and rolls. And, I try to manage obviously the things that I can that are most important and generate revenue. Those get my attention first and foremost.
Oh, it's surprising how many people, they just tackle whatever's immediately in front of them, revenue generating or not. And then they wonder why they're stuck on a hamster wheel of sorts.
Yeah, no, you gotta keep your focus that way. And you remember too, like no one's going to die if they don't get, the certificate of insurance unless they're closing a deal tomorrow. So if it has to wait till tomorrow, it has to wait till tomorrow.
So what do you, so let's make a quick transition here. A lot of what you're doing sounds like it's not just organizing or reaching out to people, but you have to make some sort of effort, it sounds like, to motivate people. What's the biggest motivator for you? And I know you're not going to say money. So kind of what's the biggest motivator for you in all 3 of these hats you're wearing?
Purpose. Being able to have purpose and make impact, whether I'm changing a life with my work, with my philanthropy, whether I'm, enhancing the lives of my daughters, or, interviewing really cool women and telling their story on my podcast, that to me is really cool. And then with insurance, being able to provide, everybody needs insurance. And that was another thing. Like when I was focusing on the line I wanted, it wasn't life and health because I felt like those were want products. Property and casualty, you needed to have it. So for me, I know you need what I've got. And if I know where I can be of service to you, that to me, and we can find a successful resolve, that to me is like a huge win and provides a lot of like, I know I'm having a purpose, even though I'm selling insurance, which is not the most like sexy and glamorous job.
Sure.
Let's be clear.
So in wrapping up, we were chatting earlier. You had a couple of girls, just a hair behind mine, but you're a mom. You're smarter than I am. It's just by default. You got any advice for me trying to keep up with a 13 and 11-year-old girl?
Deep breaths, my friend. Deep breaths. The thing with girls, and I think the thing that's very interesting because I am a girl, is the way that we were brought up. And I'm 40. I don't know how old you are. I'm 40. I'll be 42 in 2 weeks.
I got you beat. I'm 46.
Okay, so we're about the same age. But like what we had to deal with as youngsters, was awkward and those ages. But what they've got to deal with is a whole nother level because they have such instant access to everything and social media and all these things. So it's like when you think you have it figured out as a parent, you come home and you're just like, dude, I'm out. Like, I don't know.
Right.
So if you figure it out, you let me know, man.
I'll let you know. We're still trying. So they have phones. The wife is super diligent about what's locked, what they can access, what they can't access. She does a better job of going back and checking the stuff and the things and what we let them on. But yeah, every time we have one thing figured out, there's, you got Instagram figured out, there's Snapchat. You got Snapchat figured out, there's TikTok. You got TikTok figured out.
I've been holding strong on no social. I didn't want the phone, but since we went into middle school, we were like the only kid that didn't have a phone. So I was like, okay, we're going to go down the road. But I still am hard on no social media. I mean, my daughter's almost 12. So I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm losing that grasp quickly, but I'll hold on to it as long as I can.
Dude, hang on to it with a death grip. We've just now let the oldest one get on Instagram. TikTok is still a no-no. Now, granted, I'm sure they're not entirely different, but God bless, we had to draw a line in the sand somewhere. At some point, we'll lose that battle, and then something will come along called Ling Lang, and it won't be vertical. It'll be all horizontal and no hashtags. It'll all be asterisks, and I'll have to figure out what the hell that is.
It's a lot to manage, and try to like work and do everything else and be a grown up. It's a lot. There's a lot of moving parts in our lives right now. So just take a deep breath is my advice.
Deep breaths. I got it. So, all right, Samantha, that's a lot of information in a short period of time. How can somebody get in touch with you if they need to?
My website's great. It's SamanthaTradelius.com. You can kind of find all the things that I'm doing there. For insurance, I'm at ComCov. What is it? ComCov.com. ComCov. And education stuff is lightspeed.net. But if you go on to my website, all those things kind of link there.
Good deal. Samantha, thank you so much for spending a little time with us today. I appreciate it. And you have a great day.
Hey, you too. Thank you.
All right. Bye.